Never, always, maybe, Name.
Hip hop, and it don't stop. 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 Hip hop, and it don't stop.
Yes, y'all, and welcome to today's episode of Hip Hop.
And it don't stop.
I am your host, Never Always MaybeEhh. And in today's episode, we will be asking the question, what's snitching? But first, before we do that, we got to show some love to the Hip Hop and It Don't Stop Beauty of the Week.
Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week. Hip hop and it don't stop. Beauty of the week.
Okay, y'all, that was this week's Hip Hop and It Don't Stop Beauty of the Week. Now let's get into this topic. Now, today's topic. What is snitching? Let's close this door real quick. What is snitching? All right, before we get into what is snitching, because it's levels to snitching, y'all, let's first talk about what is not snitching. What is not considered snitching? Okay, if someone is chasing somebody down, trying to eliminate them with a firearm, an illegal firearm, all right? Chasing down their enemy, and they happen to catch the person and eliminate them, right? They get in a car, they make a smooth getaway, right? What they failed to notice was the old woman sitting in her window who witnessed the entire crime. She shows up in court, she identifies the perpetrator, and he's then sentenced and convicted to serve a prison term. That old woman is not a snitch if she's not committing any crimes. If she is a civilian, living civil, abiding by the laws in our society, and she's just basically trying to protect her way of life. She's trying to keep her neighborhood safe. She is not a snitch. Okay? Same thing if you're selling drugs on someone's block. The old man on his porch is tired of these young kids selling drugs on their block. They call the police. You get arrested. He's not a snitch if he's not committing any crimes. He may be a retired truck driver or whatever. He just doesn't want drugs sold in his community. He is not a snitch. Okay? There are many examples of what is not a snitch, but anything similar to those types of circumstances, that person does not qualify for the snitch label. Okay? Now we can get into what is snitching. First of all, there are levels to snitching. All right? There are many levels. We'll go over 3. One level is snitching, ratting, being a rat, and being an informant. Okay? Now, the informant still falls under the umbrella of snitching, but it's a different level because the informant is working with law enforcement while committing crimes. So they're like playing both sides, the side of a criminal and the side of law enforcement, assisting law enforcement. That is an informant. It falls under the snitch criteria. Okay? Then you got the rat. The rat is a person who is actively committing crimes with his cohorts or fellow participants. Okay? They're basically either selling drugs, maybe selling guns, committing crimes. And he decides to turn state's evidence. Okay? He's a rat because it's like having a rat in your house. Nobody wants a rat in their house. Nobody wants rats and roaches all in their house. We're not going to get into roaches because roaches exist too, but that's a whole nother episode. So the rat is basically the person who would tell on, their crimies, their co-defendants. That is a rat. Okay, once you're busted, you give law enforcement all the information of the inner workings of the operation. That is a rat. Okay, now a snitch is someone who, let's say, robbed someone. Okay, and that person you robbed comes back and maybe tries to get some sort of revenge, whether they chose to use a firearm, a knife, a bat, whatever the case is. This person you robbed came back for revenge, and instead of either taking the L or retaliating, you decide to call the police. You are a snitch. You committed a crime against this person. This person, in retaliation, committed a crime against you. You decide, okay, now I'm going to get law enforcement involved. You are a snitch. You're not a rat. You're a snitch. You're not an informant. You're a snitch. Okay? Now, another term I've heard also thrown around is a cooperator. Okay? Let me say this, speaking from my own perspective. If you rob a bank and the police intervene in the process of you robbing that bank, and they say, put the guns down, put your hands behind your head, and then they handcuff you. This is all cooperating. Okay? You are, because if you look at the word cooperate, the police have to operate to arrest you. You are the because you're putting your hands behind your back so they can put the handcuffs on you. See, the person that doesn't cooperate is the person who, when the police say, put your hands behind your back, and they refuse to do that, they start shooting back. They try to get away. This is not a cooperator. Because if you notice, if a policeman is trying to put handcuffs on you and you're not putting your hand behind your back, they're like, he's not cooperating. He's not cooperating. If you allow the police to take your mugshot, you are a cooperator. You are cooperating. If you allow them to put handcuffs on you, you are cooperating. You are a cooperator. If you allow them to take your fingerprints, you are a cooperator. So that's why that term, cooperator, anyone who goes along with due process is a cooperator. You are cooperating with law enforcement. So I just eliminate that term, because if you are not resisting, then you're being cooperative. Therefore, a cooperator. Okay? Now, that term snitch, right? When I really think about it, I just got this feeling. And this is just a feeling. These aren't facts. It's just analyzing the term and everything it embodies, the term snitch. And I just get this feeling that because that term is so strong in the ghetto and impoverished communities, I just get this feeling that it's something that law enforcement came up with. The word snitch. And I came to that conclusion because one time I was driving my car in a suburban neighborhood and I got a phone call. I pulled my car over to answer the phone call and I was there maybe 15 minutes. And when my phone call ended, I pulled off. By the time I got to the intersection at the light, police were behind me. They pulled me over. I didn't know why they were pulling me over. I hadn't violated or did anything wrong, but they pulled me over, and it was basically an illegal stop. I won't say it was illegal, but let me just continue. They pulled me over, and when the policeman approached my window, he asked me for my license and registration. I grabbed my license and registration, even though somewhere I heard that I don't have to present my ID, but I don't want to get into the semantics with the police officer during his stop. So I'm just compliant. I give him the license and registration. He run it. Everything's good. And he gives it back to me. He walks back to his car, and I'm asking him, like, okay, why was I stopped? He said, we got a phone call, and it was a white cop. He was a cool cop, though. I'm not going to say he's a cool person. I'm just saying at that moment, he was cool. He just let me know. He said, listen, this neighborhood, it's not good. We got a call that there was someone, stopped by someone's home. And, they called it in, and I had to come check it out. And I'm like, wow, really? So that's all they had to do was just call. He's like, yeah, man, it's just the way, man. It's just the way it is. Anyway, be safe. Have a good day. So I pulled off. And I'm thinking to myself, where I live, nobody says anything. Nobody tells, somebody could get shot. It could be 14 witnesses. Nobody will say anything. But in this affluent neighborhood, all I had to do was stop to answer a phone call for 10 to 15 minutes, and the police were right on me. Right on me. So that got my wheels turning, and I'm naturally inquisitive, and I'm just like having these thoughts. And it took me to the word snitching. See, if nobody says anything or presents themselves as a witness to assist the police, then the neighborhood stays in poverty. The neighborhood stays a place that's unsafe, a place filled with crime, low value, a place no one wants to live. And that's what made me believe that the police, like I said, this is not facts, this is just feelings. I feel like snitching is a term that was created by law enforcement so they wouldn't have to help us, so that we could stay the downtrodden and they would always have jobs. It's just a feeling, just my little theory. But my thing is, what's it going to take for us to get to the point where we want to protect our community? When is it going to get to the point where a person gets very wealthy and instead of leaving, they better the community? See, being from the ghetto, if I got rich, I know that me pouring my finances into the community wouldn't be enough, because it's not that we lack financial positioning. It's the mind state of the people in the community. Snitching, ratting, informing, these aren't the biggest issues that we face in our community. It's the crime itself. When we're going to decide that we're on a hamster wheel being set up by people in authority, that we're being tricked into staying in poverty? Should someone snitch? Should someone rat? Should someone be an informant? I'm going to say no. But before it gets to the level of where a person has to be in that position, why not find a better way to support ourselves and our families? This has been going on for too long. How much longer is it going to go on? young black kids shooting each other, dudes getting 30-year sentences. Is it going to get to the point where we're just knocking each other off? Especially black people. Because it's like every other race, they snitch openly. The only race from what I see that really condemns each other for that word snitch is black people. Everybody else does it openly. Every other race in the wide open, publicly, on camera. But if a black person does it, they will ridicule and ostracize someone of their own race. If a black person snitches, it'll be a group of black people. You a rat, you a snitching. It's just, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for us to open our eyes? What is it going to take? That's my question. Whatever you want to call it, we need to do a better job of developing our community, of investing in our community, instead of tearing it down. I remember when I first moved into the building that I lived in Hunts Point, it was beautiful. 5 years later, the door downstairs was broke. The glass was broke. It was writing on the walls. Mailbox broke. It's like, why not preserve and build and make better instead of destroying and tearing down? Why not support each other and put each other in position to where we don't have to be in situations where we need to commit crimes and someone be called a snitch or a rat or an informant. It's like we smarter than that. Black people, we the best people. Y'all don't see that? Everybody want to look like us. Everybody want to talk like us. Everybody want to dress like us. Everybody want to act like us. Everybody want to be around us. Everybody want to use the slang we use. We have all of these gifts, but we're cursed. And see, all of those things I just named, that's what everybody wants. They want the gift, but they don't have to deal with the curse. See how that works? See how that works? And why it's so frustrating when I see somebody who's not black doing black things, but don't have to deal with the curse that we put on ourselves. What's snitching? Who gives a fuck? For real, yo. Who cares? What's a 401k? What's the Bill of Rights? What's the Constitution? What's real estate? What's ownership? What's togetherness? What's really important? Who cares what snitching is? Who cares? We got bigger and better things to focus on. And anyway, everybody telling anyway. And it always been like that. For real, for real. The only one that falls for that snitching thing is the naive, the ignorant. Because the person who's condemning you for snitching, they may be older. You're looking at a snitch. It's a snitch condemning you, but you're younger, you're ignorant, you're uninformed. So you're holding yourself to that standard of no snitching, while this snitch is telling you you're wrong for snitching. It's just that you don't know it yet. You're being exploited. You're being used. And then you find out later like, oh man, wait a minute, he's a snitch. I'm sitting here, I'm doing 30 years because I ain't snitch. Look, who cares what snitching is? What's snitching? I don't care. What I care about is bettering the community and people not doing things to where a person will be put in a position to be called a snitch. I care about the betterment of all people, mainly my people, black people. What's snitching? Man, I'm going to end it right there. And now,
For the name tag. Y'all know what a name tag is. Never always maybe, thoughts and guidance. And today's name tag is The Graveyard is Full of Regret. I don't regret anything I've ever done. Mistakes, poor choices, these are all lessons that come with consequences and guide you in becoming the person you end up being. The graveyard is quiet, it's cold, it's still. There's nothing they can do because they're no longer among the living. Everything you've done or not done has gotten you exactly where you are right now. I hear people say, I regret having done this. No. Forward motion. You cannot change the past. Okay? No regrets. The graveyard is full of people that wish they would have or wish they wouldn't have. Wish they wouldn't have gotten into that situation where they lost their life. Wish they would have started that business. There's nothing you can do once you're there. That's where regrets belong. Regrets are not for the living. Everything you did and didn't do got you where you are right now. Stay focused on the future, the present and the future, not the past. The graveyard is full of regret. And that's today's name tag.
Okay, y'all, that's this week's episode of Hip Hop and It Don't Stop. What's snitching? Tune in next week where we will be talking about homelessness. And remember, this is why we do what we do. And when we do what we do it for hip hop.
And it don't stop.
Peace.
Listen, son. What is this? Your mother was cleaning up your room and she found this in your drawer. What is this? Explain this to me. Why do you have this bandana in your dresser? What is this about? Listen. Come here. Listen to me. Sit down.
All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth. Sit down and I'll tell you all about being a gangster. All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth. Sit down and I'll tell you all about being a gangster.
I tell you all about holding his homie's hand, watching them fade to the black. This wasn't part of the plan. That last breath leaving his chest, eyes rolling back, his body going limp in his arms. And that's that. Gotta leave him on the ground, blood leaking through the holes. Brush your hand on his face, so his open eyes closed. Gotta run back to the pad. He used to be your dad. Kid sad, cause you said you got some news and it's bad. Trying to explain a part of life to them that's unknown. They just keep asking mommy, when daddy coming home? Reality in their presence, an uninvited guest. Your son or daughter disorder, post-traumatic stress. God bless.
All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth. Sit down and I'll tell you all about being a gangster. All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth. Sit down and I'll tell you all about being a gangster.
I'll tell you all about 23 hours in, 1 hour out. Shower bouts, fighting, hope you can power out. Lunch trays to your face, toothbrush to your stomach, not your teeth. In prison, you could be a robber, not a thief. Your feet shackled, your hands cuffed. Walking in the courtroom, all rise. Your family present, fear in their eyes. It's over, the judge fed you your fate. No escape, your family on their way back home and can't take the crib flooded flooded with tears, enough to fill up an ocean. The anger, the loss, the hurt, facing all these emotions. Fatherless babies, that's just too young to understand this gangster shit. You was raised from a boy to a man, damn. All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth. Sit down and I'll tell you all about being a gangster. All my life I grew up with gangsters, my hood gangster. What up, gangster? Wanna be gangster? Well, here's the truth.